This dog was supposed to have a big meal at ease. Unexpectedly, I was startled by the suddenly popping poster. Facing this, I'm several laps older than myself. The guy who is uglier than himself. Dogs can only mock each other a few times, hurry up and run away, but he is not willing to let the delicious food that comes to his mouth be exclusively enjoyed by the poster. Come on, tough, but you can't beat the other party. Just spin around in its place. When at a loss, his boss Maya rushed over with his brothers. He motioned that Maya must get whale meat back, but facing posters with rough skin and thick flesh can only be obtained by intelligence. Invincible enemy. So Max came up with a plan. After a glance at Maya, Maya also understood. Keep an eye on Max's movements at all times. When he saw Max approaching whale meat, immediately put the brothers in a state of readiness. Max first provoked the poster, get the other party's attention, then tear off a large piece of fish meat. Scamper. Run wild on one's own territory. The poster was immediately ablaze with anger. Plunge one's head into the water, pursuing Max relentlessly. Maya saw the plan succeed. Immediately bring your brothers to the whale and enjoy it. But during the pursuit, the poster suddenly felt that the situation was not right, and immediately turned the direction. It was already too late when Max discovered it. The sudden release of a rebound gun from the poster caught them off guard. Maya was bitten in the back leg by a bite. At a critical moment, Max immediately rushed over, jumping onto the seal and crazily biting. Other partners also flocked to see the situation. After a fierce battle, the posters with rough skin and thick flesh are outnumbered. Run away from the wilderness. Although they won the victory, Maya was seriously injured. Max stepped forward, helped him treat his wound with warmth. Encouraged by Max, Maya struggled to get up. Command the brothers to enjoy this hardened feast. This is the 152nd day they were abandoned in Antarctica. The reason why they have to survive so hard, it's waiting for the owner to come back. 5 months ago, they followed their master Paul stationed at Victoria South Pole Station. But a professor suddenly went to Mount Melbourne to look for Mercury meteorite. But Mount Melbourne is far away. Plus, the current ice layer is relatively thin. The snowmobile cannot move forward either. Once an accident occurs, the consequences are unimaginable. Paul didn't suggest going now, but his boss spoke from it. Under helplessness, Paul could only agree to use a sled dog to pull him forward. The next morning, Paul proudly introduced himself to the professor. His 8 sled dog. The leaders are Maya and Jack. The youngest is Max. After everything is ready, with Pal's command, 8 strong sled dog pulled them out. Driven by sled dog, they crossed high mountains, passing through the ice layer, arriving at the destination without any danger along the way. The professor will be conducting a week-long search here, but unfortunately, the base has detected a blizzard approaching. Notify them to return immediately, but the professor was reluctant. This meteorite is of great significance to him. Under his repeated pleadings, Paul promised to give him half a day. In the search for the next day, the professor was lucky enough to find this meteorite from Mercury. However, as they kept rushing back, Paul found blood palm prints on the ground, so he immediately stopped to check and bandage the sled dog. The professor also took the opportunity to contact the base, but his feet slipped. The whole person fell onto the ice, then the ice surface quickly cracks. The professor hasn't reacted yet, just fell straight into the piercing ice cave. Pal's testimony: let him grab the ice rock, prevent body sinking. At the same time take the sled dog down to rescue him. Let Maya bite on the rope, bow down, lowering the center of gravity, crawling cautiously forward. With Pal's encouragement, Maya successfully arrived at the professor's side, and put the rope around his neck. Next, Paul asked the professor to pass one hand through the rope. After confirming that the professor has completed the operation, Maya just returned to Pal's side. Subsequently, Paul and 8 dogs working together, finally rescued the professor, but his right leg has already broken. If unable to return to the base in a timely manner, there will be life-threatening consequences. But the blizzard is getting bigger and bigger. Even an excellent Antarctic guide, Paul is not sure if he can bring him back alive. Now he can only place his only hope on the leading dog Maya. Under the leadership of Maya, the dogs galloped all the way. The fierce snowstorm made Paul unable to lift his head at all. After a day and night of wild running, dogs fulfill their mission, successfully brought the owner back to the base. Professor Kerr has severely lost his temperature, life hangs on the line, and Pal's fingers were also frozen black. They must leave here for medical treatment, but the plane's position is not enough. Unable to evacuate with 8 sled dog, after learning about the situation, Paul will rather take the next flight, not willing to leave the dog behind. In his eyes, these dogs are all one of them, but the boss warned him, his fingers have reached level 3, the consequences of frostbite are unimaginable. Meanwhile, driver Kelly also promised Paul, after settling them down, will come back to pick up the dog. Under helplessness, Paul had to agree. Before leaving, Paul asked Maya to take care of them. Oneself, I'll be back soon. Watching the departing plane, the dogs are all barking uncontrollably. It seems to be praying to the master not to leave them behind. Only Maya's eyes are firm. He believes that the owner will definitely come back to pick them up. Paul couldn't bear to look at the abandoned dog either. Cover up a low mood with sleep. When he wakes up, I learned that the dogs were not brought back. Hurry up and ask the driver, Kelly. Because of the blizzard, they can't go at all, and winter missions have also been cancelled. That means the fastest we can do is wait until the spring of the following year to go. Hear this news. Make Pal's heart extremely uneasy. he found the leader, and requested to send a plane to the Antarctic station, but when the leader heard it, he went to pick it up. Dogs immediately refuse, because a bigger blizzard is about to arrive. They can't take this risk for a few dogs. Paul is extremely anxious. Fly to Washington immediately, apply for funding from the Science Foundation, wanna return to Antarctica to rescue the dog, but the funds won't come down until August at the earliest, and this is the largest Antarctic storm in 25 years. All scientific research tasks have been cancelled. Under helplessness, Paul had to come to California to find the professor. After explaining the purpose of the visit, the professor showed no gratitude at all. Instead, it made Paul forget everything. Abandon rescue. Goodbye. There is a woman here. Dogs are being baptized by a blizzard in Antarctica. They all lost their previous vitality. Drooping one's head, the eyes were filled with anticipation for the owner's return. After seeing the owner's flag blown off by the storm, Max immediately broke free from the collar. Bring the flag back. Other dogs also broke free from the chains and guarded the flag together. 15 days after the time arrives, the dogs are all starving, because I'm worried that the owner won't be able to find them when they come back. They were all quietly lying in place, no running around. Just then, a seabird caught Max's attention. He quickly woke up the other companions, pursuing the seabird. Wanna wait until the owner comes back. They must find a way to survive. But old Jack got injured in the sole of his foot, still lying in place. Maya saw this and wanted to help him bite off the collar, but politely rejected by old Jack. He knows he has difficulty moving, don't want to drag everyone down, so he chose to stay where he was and wait for his master Maya to pat his head, trying to cheer him up. But old Jack's might has been determined. Maya had no choice but to console him, lead everyone to capture food together. Watching the birds on the ice, Max couldn't hold back for a moment, shouted twice, almost scared the birds away. Mayan appearance, immediately reprimand Max. Subsequently, develop a strategy of diversifying and diversifying. He had his companions lie in ambush in front of the flock of birds. I crawl to the back of the flock of birds to drive them away. Partners are advancing head-on. The food captured by everyone is not exclusive, but they were all placed in front of Maya waiting for distribution. Maya picked up a seabird and gave it to Jack, but Max didn't get the food due to his previous recklessness. I can only shamelessly rub some food in front of kind-hearted dwarves. Under the leadership of Maya, the dogs have been stubbornly surviving for 50 days. They're still waiting for their master's return. Watching the beautiful and mysterious aurora at night, Max couldn't hold back his excitement for a moment, chasing the aurora and playing. Other dogs also frolicked and played with them when they saw this. Maya shouted a few times when she saw this, signal them not to run too far, but the sound insulation has just fallen off. One partner falls off a cliff. Watching my dying partner, the dogs are all heartbroken, and lie down on it to help him warm up. But the next morning, the injured partner still couldn't make it through. As the blizzard gets bigger and bigger, Maya knows well that she bears the heavy responsibility of the entire team. He can only endure the pain and continue to move forward with his friends, searching for food. But Max walked up to his partner with remorse, starting to tremble. If it weren't for his playfulness, so partners won't fall off the cliff. When he got up and prepared to leave, only then did I realize that the wind and snow have already covered the figure of their companions. Max also got separated from the team as a result. Time flies. On the 133rd day, when dogs survive alone, Maya and her friends found some canned food in an abandoned hut. After a full meal, the dogs all sleep peacefully, and Maya kept staring out the door. The eyes are filled with concern for Max and longing for the owner. Until the 152nd day, Maya finally reunited with the lost Max by the whale. After they eat whale meat, the crippled Maya returned to the base with her companions to wait for their master, but he was injured in the leg. Final physical exhaustion, fell in the middle of the journey, other dogs silently guarding beside it. Meanwhile, the professor is holding a celebration party. Find a rare Mercury meteorite, make it the focal point of the world. In the face of both fame and fortune, he thanked everyone. Only the 8-sled dog that saved his life were not mentioned. Paul was also invited to this banquet, but he never forgot the abandoned dogs in Antarctica. He plans to go to New Zealand to try his luck, find a team that can go to Antarctica, regardless of the outcome. This is the only way to reassure him. After bidding farewell to the professor, Paul set off immediately. He gave everything he wanted to rent a ship bound for Antarctica, but most of the locals are fishing boats. Lack of ice-breaking ability, no one wants to go at all. Just when he was at a loss, Kelly and his colleagues suddenly appeared. So this is the professor's idea. On the evening of the celebration banquet, after the professor returned home, I accidentally saw a painting on my son's bedside. It says that the hero in my heart is the 8 dogs who saved my father's life. The professor's mind suddenly became mixed with 5 flavors. He cannot disappoint his son, becoming an ungrateful person. Coincidentally, there is still balance left in one's own exploration, so it was used to assist Paul in his journey to Antarctica. They flew to the icebreaker rented by the professor, heading south all the way. However, when there are still 100 miles from the station, due to the thick ice layer, icebreaker cannot move forward. They can only fly the plane to another base first, then switch to a snowmobile and head to Victoria Station. This is already the 175th day they separated from the dog. Maya's injuries have become increasingly severe, and Max still separates the food he catches from him every day. But this time Maya chose to refuse, because he realized that he might not be able to wait until the day his master returned. decided to give up the boss position to Max. Let him continue to lead everyone waiting for the master. Dogs see this, put the food in front of Max, indicating obedience to distribution. After finishing the food, Max lay sad beside Maya, encouraging him to get better quickly. Meanwhile, Paul and others are driving tracked snowmobile vehicles, through the smooth mirror-like chains of ice and the endless snowfield, toss around for many days, finally return to Victoria Station. After getting off the car, Paul crouched by the dog's iron chain, 5-flavored mixed churn. He couldn't imagine what he would see next. After hesitating for a long time, he just mustered the courage to pull up the iron chain. When he saw the body of old Jack, a sudden burst of heartache choked and roared in my heart. The others were also silent, extremely uncomfortable. However, as he continued to pull out all the chains, he discovered that none of the other dogs were present. This made Pal's heart full of hope again. Breaking free from the iron chain, at least they still have a chance of survival. Just then, Max slowly appeared with the figures of his companions. Seeing this scene, everyone can't believe it. They were in a state of immense excitement. Started this tearful two-way journey. Who did you save? He's not here. What say? Just as everyone was about to leave. But after Max shouted at Paul, walk away, Paul only discovered it when he chased after him. Maya lying motionless on the ground. Fortunately, Maya hasn't died yet. He finally waited for his master's return. Fulfill one's mission. The movie Antarctic Adventure is adapted from real events. It is a very inspirational and touching film. It is said that dogs are the most loyal friends of humans. Watching this movie will make you believe it deeply.